Now today, we have 7 VAs, and now we use the VAs for customer service, where they're handling claims, and any single one of our customers that comes in and they're upset about something, one of our VAs handles something like that. And then also, my other VA handles our social media and does all of our posting every single day. And then our other third administrative VA is basically an assistant to all of our other VAs. Now, here's the honest truth on what I pay my virtual assistants. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the raw and honest truth about virtual assistants. If you don't know what a virtual assistant is, a virtual assistant is typically somebody that is hired in a developing country such as India, Philippines, Mexico, and I've seen people even hire people in Africa to do United States work at a lower cost. It is very, very popular amongst the United States because you can delegate them to do work or administrative work so they can go ahead and get it at cheaper costs. Here's the honest truth when hiring a virtual assistant. They need training right off the bat. A lot of the times, people think when they hire a virtual assistant, they have all the tools to be successful. Wrong. Like any other company, you have to train your people about your service and about your product to be successful. The second thing is the language barrier. Have you ever called a bank or even called a cell phone place and you know that the person that you're speaking to over the phone is from a different country? What happened? You guys both didn't understand each other, and you probably might have hung up because they didn't transfer you to the right department or they didn't know what you were talking about. The third thing is that if you run a business that focuses on sales, you're gonna also understand that virtual assistants are non-aggressive. What does that mean for your business? That means you're gonna lose sales and lose business. Now, I'm gonna tell you how I use virtual assistants to grow my business from $100,000 all the way up to $4 million. So, let's go ahead and get right into it. Right now, I currently use 7 virtual assistants. What I do with my virtual assistants is every single one of my virtual assistants has a different role. I have 4 virtual assistants that focuses on sales, 1 that does outbound sales, and 3 that does inbound sales. And then I have 2 other virtual assistants that focuses on admin work and also customer service. And then my 3rd virtual assistant focuses on social media and marketing and content. Here's how I make every single one of my virtual assistants effective in every single one of their positions. The first thing that I did was I gave them clear and concise responsibilities on what they needed to do. I also set clear and concise key performance indicators for them to hit on a weekly and a monthly basis. I also made sure that I was training them day in and day out. When I first hired virtual assistants, I myself made the mistake of thinking that they had all the tools to be successful and they can go ahead and do this and go ahead and do that. What I did was I put so much stuff on my virtual assistant's plate that they didn't know what direction I wanted them in. So they didn't know exactly what to focus on. But what I did and what I had to do was I had to make sure I set clear expectations and clear roles and responsibilities for every single one of my virtual assistants. What I came to find out was that some virtual assistants specialize in administrative work, some virtual assistants specialize in sales, and some virtual assistants specialize in creativity. Now, the first thing that I did when I hired a virtual assistant was I used my first virtual assistant for sales. And what I had figured out and what I had to do was, in order to improve my sales and improve my revenue and increase my revenue year over year over year, was I had to train every single one of my virtual assistants. What I did to do that was I listened to their phone calls and I also checked how they were sending certain emails. Now, when you listen to some of your virtual assistants' phone calls, you're probably gonna be pulling out your hair because you're gonna hear things that people in the United States probably wouldn't say, or people that don't understand the virtual assistants are saying to them. What I had to do was I had to get them on a call and I made sure that I talked to my virtual assistants about certain language, certain lingo, certain things that people do, and I also made them understand the culture of the United States. Most of my virtual assistants are all from the Philippines, so they have a personality where they're very, very passive and they're very, very giving. So what I came to find out as well too is that most of them, they all worked in a call center, and when they work in a call center, they have this conception that they are only supposed to be on a call for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. I don't know why, but their key performance indicator when they work at call centers in the Philippines and only service the Philippines was that they had key performance indicators where they were only supposed to be on a call for 3 to 5 minutes. Now, since I was using my virtual assistants for sales, the longer you're on a phone call, the higher probability and chance you have to go ahead and close a sale. So I had to hammer it into their head to make them be on the phone for a lot longer versus how they had in the past where they just went ahead and want to get off the phone right away. The second thing that I did to really increase my revenue with my virtual assistants was I trained them how to build rapport. Just like every single sales rep that you have to train them. But with the virtual assistants, they take feedback very, very well. But the thing is that you have to listen to them consistently because sometimes they can deviate to what you tell them. So what I did was I made sure that they're building rapport with all the customers. Now, the thing is, it's super hard for them to build rapport because it's kind of out of their comfort zone because they're not from the United States. So they don't really have anything to relate to. So what I did was I went ahead in our weekly daily huddles was I went ahead and I talked to them about some of the new things that are happening, where I'm from. So I'll give you an example. So what we do on our daily huddles or our Monday meetings was that I would talk about, okay, cool, our team here in the Bay Area is in the playoffs. Go ahead and bring that up. The weather here is very, very nice. Go ahead and bring that up and talk about it. So little things like that. So it made it seem like they were actually here in the States versus they were actually really internationally in the Philippines talking to them. Now, really, this next thing that I'm about to tell you took my business from literally 1 million all the way up to about, 2 million and some change. My virtual assistants really created my B2B line of revenue. What do I mean by that? And how did they go ahead and create that? Now, my virtual assistants, they went ahead and did all of the nitty-gritty work where they went ahead and mined all of our customers' emails, all the targeted audiences' phone numbers, and they were, the reason is because they're behind a desk all day, and they were able to basically mine all the customers' data, go on Google, search for certain audiences such as realtors, interior designers, etc. And they went ahead and collectively, now at this time I had multiple VAs, collectively I had the admins pulling all the data, and the admins were taking all the data and they were giving it to the sales reps were making the phone calls, and they were setting appointments to the targeted audience. And they were setting the appointments and they were bringing me the appointments. So it was like a line of business that was going. So my admins would go ahead and pull the data, and then after they pull the data, my sales reps, we call them setters, they would give them the data, and all they would do all day is they would go ahead and dial. And then after they go ahead and get the contact with the target audience, they would go ahead and bring me the contact, and then we'd go ahead and schedule a Zoom call. Now, in the beginning, it was very, very tough because when they were going ahead and reaching out to the, prospective audience, they knew that my VAs were from the Philippines because they didn't really know how to open up a sales call or open up an outbound pitch. What really took us over the level was when I went ahead and I listened to their phone calls. I gave them feedback, and I kept giving them feedback time and time again, and they slowly started to improve. And once they started to improve, more and more sales calls started coming into me, and I was able to close them. And by the time you know it, everything was just running silky smooth. Now today, we have 7 VAs, and now we use the VAs for customer service, where they're handling claims, and any single one of our customers that comes in and they're upset about something, one of our VAs handles something like that. And then also, my other VA handles our social media and does all of our posting every single day. And then our other third administrative VA is basically an assistant to all of our other VAs. Now, here's the honest truth on what I pay my virtual assistants. I pay my virtual assistant very, very well. Now, the average cost that you're probably gonna pay for a virtual assistant is anywhere from $6 to $9. Okay, I pay that. And then on top of that, I pay a huge bonus for every single one of the key factors, key performance indicators that they hit. I've seen one of my VAs take home a commission check. Now this is just commission of about $6,000. And in the Philippines, that's huge. A $6,000 commission check on top of the regular salary. I hear my virtual assistants talking about buying homes, buying cars, taking trips, and I'm happy that they go ahead and do that because they deserve every single piece of rewards that they reap from, working really hard and gaining business and go ahead and improving the company. It's super, super crazy that some people think that they can go ahead and get away with paying them $3, $4 and not reward them for bringing in business. They're just like everybody else here in the States. They are rewarded and they work harder by giving them bonuses and then giving them incentives to hit so they can go ahead and work harder for you and your business. Now lastly, I'm gonna give some real advice and some tips on where you should hire virtual assistants and what you can do to effectively have your virtual assistants run your business at a very, very high capacity. First thing is that if you're hiring virtual assistants, and they're in the Philippines, there's this island in the Philippines called Cebu. In Cebu, English is their first language. So it sounds like you're talking to somebody here in the United States. I didn't know this until later on, until some of my virtual assistants, told me that. And I was very, very surprised because I could definitely tell the difference. Now, you're gonna hear a little bit of an accent, but it almost sounds very, very natural. And they're also hip into the United States culture, all the way from like TikToks, all the way to certain trends. That's one of the things that you wanna go ahead and look for. And that's one of the main things that I look for is the communication that you have. Can they understand you? Can they understand the clients? Communication back and forth is super important, not only for you because they're gonna understand what you want them to do, but also it's really big for the customers because that's how you're gonna go ahead and increase your business and then increase the size of your business. The second thing is that you wanna hire virtual assistants based on their skill set. A lot of the times, people think that virtual assistants can do anything and everything in their business. You can go ahead and ask either the company that you're going ahead and hiring the virtual assistants from, or even if you're hiring them on Upwork or Fiverr or anything like that, you can ask specifically what type of virtual assistant you want to hire. For sales, for outbound, for editing, for everything like that, you can go ahead and make sure that you're hiring specifically for that virtual assistant's skill set. The third thing is that you want to go ahead and, first and foremost, this is what I did. You want to go ahead and hire from a firm that sources virtual assistants. I use the VA Hub, and what they do is they go ahead and vet every single VA and they give them a certain skill set that they have to graduate a school before they're certified to work with US clients. Now, what I realized from hiring a lot of the virtual assistants from the VA Hub and that firm was that it gave them structure and it gave them the basic skill sets that's needed here in the United States, such as you're gonna use Microsoft Word, you're gonna use Google Sheets, you're gonna use little tasks, a lot of applications that people use here in the United States. They're already set with that skill set, so you don't have to retrain them or anything like that. The fourth tip that I would give is that reward your virtual assistants. Have a really good relationship with them. What I come to see a lot of the times with owners and business owners here in the United States is that they just tell their virtual assistant to go ahead and do this, go ahead and do that. And there's no real connection with a virtual assistant like they were here in the United States. I really like to talk to my virtual assistants, and I treat them like a regular human being, a regular person, one of my friends or one of my employees. Even though they're contracted with me because I pay another company to go ahead and pay them, I still have a really good relationship with them. I recently just sent all of my virtual assistants to a team outing in Hong Kong, and they actually all got to meet each other, and I plan to go to the Philippines to actually meet all my virtual assistants in person and have a really strong working relationship together. Now, the last tip that I do want to give for virtual assistants is that you want to make sure that when you are hiring them, even though that they're a very low cost, you want to make sure that you are, if you're going to be using them for sales, now this is for sales, you want to make sure that the return on investment makes sense. What do I mean by that? Now, if you hire somebody in the United States for sales, they're probably going to have a really high close rate because they're able to communicate. They're able to understand the context. They're able to understand United States culture. Versus somebody in the Philippines, they're cheap, and people get confused, or they go ahead and just go that way and thinking just because they're cheap and because they're booking 1 out of 10 jobs that it's a good return on investment for them. But realistically, you're paying $6, but you're really missing out on those 9 jobs that could have been booked for somebody here in the United States. So you want to make sure that you're managing that correctly. I had the issue where I had many sales reps that were all virtual assistants, and I thought that since I'm paying $5, $6 for these virtual assistants, that I'm actually saving money, where in reality, I was actually losing money because I was paying a shit ton of money on marketing and I wasn't booking any of the jobs. So you want to make sure that you're comparing. You're comparing the cost of the virtual assistant and you're comparing the cost of your person here in the United States. I have a mixture of both. So I have virtual assistants, and then I also have a sales rep here in the United States. And my sales rep here in the United States, they go and handle some of the bigger jobs. But that's pretty much it as far as my virtual assistants. I love my virtual assistants. I could not have grown the business to where I wanted to now without them, and I owe a lot to them. They're really good with following up, and they're very persistent, and they have a really strong work ethic. But if I was to start any other business, my first thing that I would go ahead and do would be hire a virtual assistant. See you on the next video.